Welcome to another reading of There's a Boy in the Girl's Bathroom. I hope you guys are loving this story as much as I do. I think it's such a good book, so I hope you're loving it. Make sure that you have your virtual thinking tracks ready today. You are doing 4 responses and 3 vocabulary words, and I think that's all you need to know. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and get started. So we are on chapter 39. Ronnie hopped along singing doo-dee-doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. All the other animals were gathered together. What are you doing? Asked Ronnie. We're talking, said the lion. And you can't listen, said the kangaroo. Oh, okay, said Ronnie. She waited for the other animals to finish talking. The other animals finished talking. We finished talking, the lion told Ronnie. We took a vote. We don't like you anymore. Ronnie hopped away. Suddenly, she fell into quicksand. Help, she cried. Bartholomew, save me. No, I won't, said Bartholomew, and I'm not going to marry you either. Ronnie sank into the quicksand and died. Oh, shoot. That's sad. Poor Ronnie. Chapter 40. Bradley's mother took his temperature and told him he was normal. I am not, he argued. He's not normal, Claudia agreed. He's bizarre. Bradley felt as if his stomach were tied in a knot. Every time he thought about Carla, he felt the knot pull tighter. I hate her, he repeated as he slowly walked to school. When he said he hated her, the knot in his stomach loosened just a little bit. He sat at his desk in the back of Mrs. Ebel's room, last seat, last row. Hi, Bradley, said Jeff, sitting down next to him. Where were you yesterday? Were you sick? He didn't answer. Jeff wasn't his friend. He didn't have any friends. Bradley, called Mrs. Ebel, will you come here, please? He dragged his feet to her desk. I was sick yesterday, he told her. Call my mother if you don't believe me. Mrs. Ebel waved that away. I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed your book report, she said. It made me want to read the book. Huh? Miss Davis gave it to me yesterday, Mrs. Ebel told him. She explained how she accidentally ripped it. He stared at her, amazed, then noticed his book report taped together, lying on Mrs. Ebel's desk. At the very top, in red ink, was the word excellent. I gave you a gold star, said Mrs. Ebel. He picked up his book report and ran back to his desk. There it was, next to the name, Bradley Chalkers, a gold star. He slowly sat down as he stared at it. It seemed to shine brighter than all the other stars. The knot in his stomach jerked tight, and he had to look away. The star reminded him of Carla. She's such a liar, he thought. She said she accidentally tore it up when I was the one who did it. I hate her. He shoved his book report in the back of his desk. The knot loosened. He walked all recess. The other boys called to him from the basketball court, but he pretended not to hear them. He just kept walking. Okay, he decided, I'll go see her at lunch. I'll just say goodbye to her. That's all. Everyone was looking for you to play basketball, Jeff said when he returned to class. I told them you were still sick from yesterday. I'm not sick, said Bradley. I'm normal. When the bell rang for lunch, he walked to Mrs. Ebel's desk to ask for the hall pass. Yes, Bradley, she said. He couldn't talk. The knot in his stomach was so tight it choked off his vocal cords. He stuck his hands in his pockets and walked outside. He sat in a far corner of the playground. Twice he thought he saw Carla. The first time it was a 3rd grade girl. The second time it was a tree. His stomach was too knotted up to eat anything. I saw Carla, Jeff told him after lunch. I went to her office to say goodbye. She said she'd like to see you. She said she'd wait in her office after school for you in case you wanted to talk to her. She asked me to tell you that. Bradley closed his eyes until the knot loosened. Don't you even want to say goodbye to her? Jeff asked. He shook his head. He could picture her waiting in her office for him. He'd walk in and she'd say, Hello, Bradley. It's a pleasure to see you today. I appreciate your coming to see me. She might even kiss him again. When the final bell rang, he walked directly home. The knot inside him tightened with every step he took. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. All right. Chapter 41. Let's go, Bradley, his mother said on Saturday morning as she entered his room. We're off to a real barbershop, she said. She said it as if a barbershop was the most wonderful place in the world. In the past, she had always cut Bradley's hair herself, but this time he had asked her to go to a real barbershop. That was earlier in the week, when they were out buying the birthday presents for Colleen. You make my head look like a chili bowl, he had complained. That's funny. Now he sadly looked up at his mother and said, "I don't want to get my hair cut." "You want to look nice for Colleen's birthday party tomorrow, don't you?" she asked. "You don't want to go looking like a punk rocker?" "I'm not going to her birthday party," he snapped. "I hate her." Bradley's mother left him alone. He heard Carla's voice in his mind. "Saturday, I'm going to need someone to help me move all my things out of the office. I would appreciate it very much if you could come and help me." The knot in his stomach tightened. "No, I hate you," he said out loud. His father knocked, then came into his room. "Bradley, I think we need to talk," he said, man to man. Bradley stood up. "Why don't you tell me what's bothering you?" asked his father. "Maybe I can help." Bradley didn't want any help. "I was very sorry to hear that your counselor had been transferred to another school," said his father. "I know how much you liked her. At first I didn't like the idea of you seeing a counselor, but—" "I have to get my hair cut," said Bradley. "Mom said so." He walked out of his room, leaving his father behind him. His mother drove him to the barber shop. Carla's voice spoke in his mind. "We could have lunch together. We could go to a restaurant." The knot pulled tighter, just the two of us, and tighter. "It will be lots of fun," Carla said, "and it would be a great help to me." And tighter. "Maybe I'll see you on Saturday," said Carla. "I would like that very much." And tighter. "You're not Cinderella, and I'm not Prince Charming." And tighter. "I like you, Bradley. I can like you, can I? You don't have to like me." The knot pulled so tight it broke. "Stop the car," he shouted. "I have to go back." The car swerved. "Don't ever do that again," exclaimed his mother. "We could have had an accident." "I don't believe in accidents. I'm getting sick and tired of your nonsense, Bradley. What is your problem?" "I can't get my hair cut now. I have to go to school. On Saturday, I'm supposed to see my counselor. She is waiting to see me. Call the school if you don't believe me." The car stopped in the parking lot in front of the barber shop. "We're here," his mother said sternly. "You're getting your hair cut now." He stepped out of the car and reluctantly followed his mother into the barber shop. It smelled oily, like hair and hair oil and stale bubble gum all mixed together. All around him, mirrors reflected mirrors. The place was ugly, and the mirrors reflected ugliness, multiplying it 100 times back and forth. They seemed to reflect the awful smell, too. He couldn't believe he had asked his mother to take him to such a place. It was like some kind of horrible dungeon where kids went to be tortured. But worst of all, he had to wait his turn to be tortured. All the barber chairs were occupied. He sat on a torn red couch. "Do you want to read a comic book?" asked his mother. "No, thank you," he answered quietly. Finally, it was his turn. He climbed into a slippery, oily vinyl barber chair. The barber tied a shiny apron tightly around his neck, nearly choking him to death. The barber began by combing his hair. Bradley wondered why he had to comb it if he was going to cut it anyway. At last, the barber picked up the scissors and began to cut. But he never cut off a big piece of hair all at once. Instead, he kept snipping little bits of hair off of the same piece of hair over and over again. The whole time, Bradley had to stare at himself through the filmy mirror. He gritted his teeth and waited for it to be over. The barber put down the scissors, but then he picked up the comb and started combing again. "I knew he shouldn't have combed it before," Bradley thought. "Now he just has to do it again." The barber sprayed some kind of smelly junk on Bradley's head, combed his hair one last time, then unhooked the apron around Bradley's neck. Bradley quickly hopped off the chair before the barber could change his mind, but the barber wasn't through. He made Bradley stand still while he ran a small vacuum cleaner across his neck. When he finished, he offered Bradley a piece of bubble gum. "I hate gum," said Bradley. He never used to hate gum, but after smelling it in the barber shop, he never wanted another piece again. "You'll be the most handsome boy at Colleen's party," his mother said as they walked outside. "Can you drive me to school, please?" he asked. She nodded. 10 minutes later, he jumped out of the car, ran up the steps in front of the school, and pulled on the double glass doors. They were locked. He pressed his face against the glass and looked inside. Mrs. Kemp, the janitor, was waxing the floors. He pounded on the door until she looked up. Mrs. Kemp scowled at him as she opened the door. "What do you want, Chalkers?" I have to see Miss Davis, he said. Miss Davis is gone. He ducked under her arm, which held open the door, and ran into the building. Chalkers, she shouted after him. I'll call the police. He opened the door to Carla's office and stepped inside. Except for the round table and chairs, the room was empty. But in his mind, he heard Carla saying, Hello, Bradley. It's a pleasure to see you today. I appreciate you coming to see me. Tears rolled down his face. He noticed a large manila envelope lying on the table. He picked it up. Bradley Chalkers was written across it in big letters. Under that, in small letters, was the following: Mrs. Ebble's classroom, 12, good friend, honest, thoughtful, caring, polite, whom I will never forget and who I hope will someday forgive me. Last seat, last row. There you are, said Mrs. Kemp as she came in after him. If you don't get out of here right now, I'm going to call the police. Look, he exclaimed, holding up the envelope. She left this for me, see? We were friends, Carla and me. We were best friends. You have 10 seconds to leave this building, said Mrs. Kemp. 1, 2. He took the envelope and left. He opened it on the playground next to the monkey bars. Inside was the book, My Parents Didn't Steal an Elephant, and a letter. Dear Bradley, this book was a present from me to you. It was a gift from the heart, and that kind of gift, for better or worse, can never be returned. I'm sorry for hurting you. I didn't mean to. If it makes you feel any better, you hurt me too when you didn't come to see me Friday or Saturday. I kept hoping I'd see your happy face walk through the door. I hope you didn't mind that I gave your book report to Mrs. Ebble. It was just too good to throw away. You can do such wonderful work. Now, if only you can learn how not to rip it up. I hope you went to Colleen's birthday party. If you did, I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you didn't go, that's all right too. There will be lots of other parties. You're a very likable person. You'll always be very special to me. It was always a pleasure to see you. I appreciated your coming to see me. Thank you for sharing so much with me. I love you, Carla. Bradley's father was leaning on his cane on the front stoop when Bradley came walking home. I want to talk to you, Bradley, he said sternly. Bradley ran to him and hugged him, nearly knocking him over. All right, guys, we are going to stop there at chapter 42. Remember to do your 4 thoughts and your 3 vocabulary words. And that's it for today. See ya.